Whew.
Timmy, we did it.
It's Monday.
We we figured out all the new hoops Facebook is making us jump through.
I love it.
Now, YouTube would never make us jump through hoops.
No, no. They
Now,
have
the
been
fact that I can
kind.
hear myself about 5 seconds after I say whatever I say is an issue.
I don't know if everybody else can hear that because I cannot. However, Andrew, we have not spoken in a while.
It's been a minute. We've been busy.
We've been busy. We've had a lot of things happening. We have so much to talk about. You've been sort of out of town. I've been way out of town.
I've been out of town. You've been out of state. We've
There you
been all
go.
over the place.
And yet we were both at church on Sunday.
Because yesterday was Sunday.
And this is the morning after.
Welcome to the Morning After Ministry Show, a caffeine-fueled look back on the week and ministry that was.
Timmy, you're going to be shocked by this, but that echo that I had was user error on my part. I didn't have the broadcast on the computer to the right of me turned down. My bad, everybody.
I'm absolutely stunned. Hello, Facebook land. Hello, YouTube world. If you are just joining us for the first time ever, we've been doing this for, I don't know.
Where you been?
A while. My name's Tim. This is Andrew. Every single Monday, we never ever miss, except last week. That was the first time we ever missed.
It was Memorial Day. If the banks are closed, we're closed.
If the banks are closed, the Morning After Ministry show is not in session. But here we are. We're back. We're almost in person. We are live. We're just a few miles apart. I was a little lazy this morning. I didn't want to drive down to Safety Harbor.
I get it. Timmy, you don't have a Sam's Club on your way here. So
I do
gas
not.
is at least $3.39 a gallon.
It is.
Come on.
It is $73 a pop to fill up our vehicles now.
Ooh.
So I can't. It's a lot.
Do both of your
It's a lot.
vehicles have identical tanks? Because you do have two Hondas, so that's
Yes, because they're both right at the same price to fill up. So
that's terrifying.
if you're wondering why we're remote, it's because I needed to save a little money because my wife and I were vacationing, celebrating our anniversary last week, and spent a little bit more than I was planning on. Sometimes that happens.
As you do sometimes, Timmy. We went out last week as well, but not for an anniversary. We were just doing that beginning of the summer, end of the school year trip. My father-in-law takes one of my boys up to Arkansas ahead of the rest of the family every summer. And this summer, Liam, our second child, is leaving with Pappy this week to go to Arkansas ahead of the rest of us. So this past weekend was our only weekend to do all of the things. And since I'm out 2 Sundays in a row at the end of June, beginning of July, I got back in time to preach yesterday. So we did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Disney World, and we were here on Sunday morning. We did it. We did.
So did you write the sermon Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, I was mostly done by Tuesday afternoonish, and
That's
then
so weird.
It's so. It also, yeah, I was like, man, should this be the new thing? Should I have
I know.
most of the sermon in the bag on Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah.
But it just depends on the week. Some weeks you can do it, some weeks you can't. If we had large staffs where there was somebody handling lots of other responsibilities, that would be one thing to block off. Hey, every Tuesday, only on Tuesday, I'm doing this. But I knew I had a funeral on Thursday. And Tim, have you ever done a funeral at the Bay Pines National Cemetery? Or any kind of national cemetery with the military stuff?
I've done some of the military stuff, but not at a national cemetery.
It's crazy.
It's the real deal.
It is, but you have a half an hour period. It could be. It doesn't matter who you are, what your rank was. This was, the widow of a service member, and so because of that, I had a little bit more time. I've done other funerals there. The church I served at previously was probably the closest church to that facility. But if there's any kind of military honors or anything like that, that cuts into the time that you have. But you have a half an hour, so you line up your cars outside by the office that they have, and you have a half an hour from the moment your wheels start rolling until the moment you get back. So you really have about a 22-minute ceremony. So it's nice because you can't have the live open mic that's going to go 45 minutes, but it's also you got to cram everything in there in a relatively short amount of time because there's another group waiting right behind you for their service as well.
Yeah, I was helping out at a funeral a couple of weeks ago, and they did the open mic thing, and no one wanted to come speak. So
that's even more awkward than the extra long one.
And the pastor didn't actually know the family well, and I was in the room. It was a bit awkward. He kept encouraging people to not be afraid and not be ashamed. It was like 4 to 6 minutes of trying. It was so awkward.
Ooh,
I've
got a 30-second window.
That's what I'm saying. Like 10, 15 seconds. Hey guys, no big deal. We're gonna fellowship afterwards. Feel free to stay and chat with the family.
Your silence speaks to your grief even more than the stories you could share would.
I also, when I'm counseling families for a funeral, I don't know if you do this, I actually encourage not an open mic because I've heard some things said in an open mic that should not be said in an open mic. So I typically encourage families to reach out to specific people who they want to share, and you just don't offer an open mic. I've seen it work well both ways. I think it's easier to avoid a potential disaster, which I have been a part of, and it was very awkward for everyone involved. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna vote against the open mic 99% of the time.
I'm gonna say if we're doing this, you got to have a plant in there. You got to have one or two people that you know are gonna go before anybody else. Because if you just have hey, we'll put this in there for 20 minutes of the program, it's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, not a huge fan.
Tim, we don't have funerals on our show notes today. We have all kinds of other stuff.
You're the one that brought up funerals?
Your trip. I know. Well, I was just saying I was at a funeral, and yeah, you're right.
Get it.
It's on me.
I
Tim,
get
tell
it.
me about your trip.
We
have not powwowed at all.
We have not.
So,
this was a surprise Christmas gift from me to my wife. Also doubles as our anniversary trip / present. We try to sneak away around or on our anniversary every year. Usually it's one night, sometimes two. So to get Tuesday night, so to get 3 full nights away, 4 full days in another state is very rare for us. I don't know how often you and Melissa get to do that. We do not get to do that often.
Never.
So it has been years since we've done more than 2 nights away and a very long time out of state. So we just enjoyed it. Lots of live music, hence my hat. Andrew, you probably already knew this about me. I love live music.
Big fan.
Like when we were going from honky tonk to honky tonk, I walked Broadway probably 3 times before I told Steph, this is the best band here tonight. We're going in here. And sure enough, it was by far the best band that night. Sometimes we would sit on the rooftops just to listen to all the bands at once, and I could pick out which ones I wanted to listen to that night.
Did you have a fried bologna sandwich while you were walking up and down Broadway?
Oh, I should have done that.
Because that's what you do on Broadway. You got to have the fried bologna. It's delicious and gross, but also delicious.
We had a few things planned, a few things unplanned. Found a couple of live shows, local live shows that I had no idea about. Moderately inappropriate, but very funny. And then we did see Steph and I's favorite band together right now. It's Bleachers. If you don't know Bleachers, that's okay. Not everybody knows them. Jack Antonoff is the singer-songwriter who writes probably most of your favorite songs that have ever been written, including a large amount of Taylor Swift songs.
And Fun. He was in Fun.
He was a lot of fun in Fun. So we saw a Bleachers show at Ryman Auditorium. We did Andrew, I didn't tell you this. We did the hop on, hop off trolley experience. So 13
Very
stops.
Exciting.
We got to see everything.
Maybe that's why your ankle hurts this morning. You were telling me that your ankle hurt, and you thought, no, I think you rolled your ankle getting off the trolley. Don't blame church softball, Tim. It was all that trolley hopping.
We did some trolley hopping. We had so much fun. We did a Johnny Cash museum. It was just a week to remember. Apple is already reminding me of the week. You know how Apple gives you those memories. It was like, hey, remember this on May 30th? I'm like, that was, literally 3 days ago. Sure.
Yes, I do remember.
So we had a week.
Still on my credit card statement. I'm very aware.
Yeah, we spent too much money and we had way too much fun. So I'm okay with both of those things. Chad says trolley injuries are serious. Chad, you don't lie. Adam says it's the Crocs with socks for me. Yeah, that's my go-to look. I've been a Crocs with socks guy for about 2.5 years now. There's just nothing more comfortable. I don't know if there is. I haven't discovered it yet. But I'm still the millennial that wears ankle socks. My daughter got onto me for that because she said, "Dad, only millennials and older people wear ankle socks."
Only old people try to hide the fact that they're wearing socks.
Yep, no one.
I'm wearing ankle socks right now, Tim.
Like no one does that anymore. My entire sock bin is ankle socks for me, so it's going to take a while to get out of that. I don't know. I like the feel.
I have a lot of the crew socks depending on the shoe that I'm wearing. Like if I'm wearing, I wear Doc Marten boots a lot because I'm very short and I try to hide that fact. And so if I'm wearing boots, I have to wear socks. But if I'm wearing sneakers, I am wearing ankle socks.
This is my uniform. He says literally wearing Crocs with black ankle socks right now. That is 90% of what I wear.
Your people, Timmy.
Adam says saw a reel of people golfing and it said you tell they're over 30 because of the ankle. It's so true. You are over 30 if you're rocking ankle socks. I'm not even offended.
The crew sock tan line? Who wants the crew sock tan line? I don't get it.
I am not offended in the least. So, Andrew, my wife and I snuck away to Nashville. My parents stayed home to watch my kids, which was crazy, but apparently they survived. So I was very proud of them, my parents and my kids. And while we were doing things in Nashville, you were doing things at Disney World. So did you do 2 or 3 days at Disney?
We did 3 days. So we did.
Wow.
So I did the funeral Thursday morning, then was in here at the church for a little bit. Plus, school got out Wednesday for public school. My wife went in on Thursday. She didn't have to, but she has 2 full-time aides in her classroom, and it was a required day for them. So just kind of solidarity thing. So she was in the morning for a little bit, getting her classroom cleaned out at the end of the year and just spending some time with her aides and thanking them. So we left our house, I don't know, 2 or 3, I think like 2-ish on Thursday, got into Hollywood Studios.
Adam, you wear the socks with the Crocs because there's these little like dots inside the Crocs. Sometimes you don't want to feel those, so if you wear the socks, you don't have to feel those. It just depends on the mood. You're going to the beach, Crocs and no socks.
Yeah, if you're getting wet or getting sand, or if you're getting anything in the Croc, absolutely you go sockless. But if you're just lounging, it's a comfort level you've never experienced before.
All right, Andrew.
So we did Hollywood Studios on Thursday. The park was closing late that night, so we did it up big. We, went on all the things. We did the 50s primetime diner. It was also a birthday for one of our boys this weekend, and he said he wanted to go to the restaurant where they were kind of mean to you, which is the 50s primetime diner, because they'll make you vacuum or make you sweep if you drop something and yell at you for not eating your food. So we did that on Thursday night. Friday we did the water park for several hours before going over to Magic Kingdom, where said birthday boy was finally 48 inches and got to partake in Tron as a whole family for the very first time. And then on Saturday we did Epcot in the morning because, Timmy, I don't know if you know this, but Test Track is about to shut down for 8 months.
Are they overlaying it?
I don't know what they're doing to it, but they're doing
8 months. Sounds like an overlay.
Yeah, they're doing a something or other at Test Track. I don't know. So we did Guardians and Test Track, and that was pretty much, and then got our magnets, and then hit a round of mini golf because we have the sports and water park package. So when you have free mini golf, you do mini golf on your way out, and I don't want to brag, but I won.
Did you mini golf at night or during the day? Because it's very hot right now.
We mini golfed in the day. So
oof, that's toasty.
But I don't know if you've Disney mini golfed. There's the Fantasia course, which is like a real difficult mini golf course. But then there's the Winter Summerland, which is like the gravity fed holes where there's
done the Winter Summerland many times
around the hole. So it's like if you get close, it's going in. I think the whole round took our family less than an hour. So it was, it might have been a 45-minute thing, and it was another Disney thing we got to do on the way out. And then we stopped for dinner on the way home, and I think we were home by 6 on Saturday, and I got to make my PowerPoint slides and do all the stuff and get ready for church on Sunday. And then we had a birthday party.
I love that you're still
after
making
church on Sunday.
PowerPoint slides for your sermon. That might be my favorite part of this entire story.
Well, Tim,
still doing the PowerPoints. I love that.
I actually make a keynote, and then I export the keynote into JPEG, and then make a new keynote with the JPEGs, so the fonts don't move and change. And I export that JPEG only keynote into PowerPoint.
This is ridiculous.
Because, Timmy, sometimes when you have worship leaders who want to use PowerPoint, and you think, I'm not gonna get in a fight over ProPresenter, which, by the way, dies every single week anyway. I'm just going to work with what I know works. And
Andrew,
with
if
the software that my people
ProPresenter
know.
died every single week, do you think the bulk of the churches in America would be using it? It doesn't die every week. Every now and then there's an issue, but that's any software known to man.
I don't think the bulk of churches in America are using ProPresenter. I think if you were to survey the 300,000 churches in America, you might have 80 or 85,000 churches that are using ProPresenter, but I don't think it's anywhere close to the bulk of churches in America using ProPresenter.
You're not gonna win this argument of ProPresenter or PowerPoint. It's just not gonna happen.
Timmy, I would love to not be using PowerPoint, but sometimes you acquiesce to the people around you to make their life easier. Nobody in our seats would notice the difference if there were little flecks of, dust moving in the background. If there was, if there was a motion video instead of.
Think about the advantages of PowerPoint or ProPresenter for your live stream. No more picture in picture. You could have lower thirds. You could have words on the screen. Like all of that would be magical for you.
It would be. And speaking of live stream, Tim, we had crazy huge live stream numbers yesterday.
It's summer. I think it's funny when people are out of town, they don't want to miss, so they still attend via virtual church.
It's so funny.
It's weird.
I was back there at one point, and
Morning,
Megan,
Jerry.
the high school girl that runs it for us, was like smacking me. She's like, "Look at this!" And we had almost double what we typically do on a big Sunday for live stream. People must be traveling, and they wanted to keep up. And then, Timmy, we did something we've never done before.
What's that?
CJ, that's purple.
CJ says, Andrew sounds like he wears a Speedo with white high knee socks and tennis shoes at the beach. Stop being self-righteous and upgrade your software.
CJ,
it's really not that
Andrew
expensive.
issue.
It's not that expensive.
It's not an expense issue, and it's not an Andrew issue. It is this is what my people prefer, and it's not going to make my life.
So the thought of training someone on something new is just too daunting. That's what we're getting at here.
It is acquiescing to the preference of my people.
You just don't want to train someone on something new. That's all you care about. It's just easier without it.
Tim, I have no problem with it. You see what I did there?
I do.
I have no problem with
you.
changing the software.
I hear you.
Want to honor my people. Our worship people are part-time.
Honoring no one with this.
It's not worth it to
honoring
change up
people.
what we're doing.
Andrew,
I'm honoring the preferences of my praise team.
You are too much. Here's the funny thing. We both were gone.
I get a comment card. The moment I get a comment card that's like, ugh, why are we using now? It's a PowerPoint license that expired in like 2013. So, and I did get approved for the nonprofit full Microsoft suite. So I should probably go into the computer and put a modern version of PowerPoint on there. Our PowerPoint, it still defaults into a 4:3 screen. So I should.
I can't, Andrew. This is too much. Adam says, really, Adam, I think actually sets up and runs the ProPresenter at his church.
Yeah, I'm sure. Adam, if you want to come and spend a couple of days, weeks, hours with my people, convincing them, I would welcome you to do so.
He says the real problem is the word Microsoft.
Did you hear me say that I create all of my stuff in Keynote and then I export it and then go through Dropbox? It's a whole thing.
So Andrew, you preached after being gone for a few days. I opted to not preach. We left on Tuesday, so sermon writing would have been very tricky. We were gone Tuesday through Friday.
Been tricky.
I could have done Prep Monday, then write on Saturday, but I opted not to do
But
that.
Monday was also
It was a holiday.
Memorial Day. You
Yep.
were memorializing.
Yep. Nope. For sure. So I opted not to preach, but I was there. So I did. Here's the funny thing. I had about 25 people come up to me. Pastor, I thought you were taking the Sunday off. And I was like, maybe I should have just not come. But I had things to do. I had to install the new members. I was doing communion, which I could have had an elder do communion. I could have had an elder install the new members. Maybe that was just me being a little bit selfish and wanting to do those things. But if I'm going to already be there on a Sunday, I don't mind doing things.
I'm going to
Laura,
go on,
okay. Laura says we have comment cards. Laura, you do have comment cards, and I want your next comment card to say, when can we upgrade to Pro Presenter? Thank you, Laura, for that.
Laura, we have
Stephanie Miller says Safety Harbor Community Church. Oh, digital. I will be posting a link to the digital comment cards for Safety Harbor. Go ahead and hop over there. Let everybody know how you feel about Microsoft PowerPoint. Safety Harbor Community Church, where honoring people is our first priority. Look at that.
Wow, that's
honoring people above God. Make the jump, Andrew, says Jerry. CJ says, yeah, I'd prefer to have to type up songs each week instead of having a library of songs that I can plug and play every week.
I'm not typing up songs. If I was typing up, I think we have the library of songs. That's probably part of it. We have the library of songs in the PowerPoint file. So you're adding, the 10 to 12 new songs a year as opposed to every week. And I remember those days of each and every week we're going to recreate the whole slideshow. But Tim, the comment cards that I get more often than not these days are from different salespeople that are.
Can I anonymously comment, or does it say who I am if I want to comment?
I think you might need to put in an email address to fill one out. But the last
that's fine.
One that
I have many fake email accounts, so that's fine.
The last comment card that I got was from someone trying to sell us a Wikipedia service. And talking about the growth that churches see once the church has an official Wikipedia article. And I thought, is this your full-time job?
Can we do that?
Just go to church websites and
No. I want a joint Wikipedia page where we can promote both of our churches and the Morning After Ministry show.
Just the Morning After Ministry show Wikipedia page.
Started in 2018 by Tim and Andrew. Oh, Riley, this is very interesting. This is an option that Andrew and I do not have that apparently is afforded to you. I was scheduled to preach on Sunday, so Riley's the campus pastor at a church about a mile from my church. He says, got back from Brazil on Friday, made the call Saturday morning to do the stream because I was exhausted. I was still there to do announcements and communion. Perks of the stream option.
There you
go. That's pretty cool. Like that. So what's cool about that is if something were to happen, you don't have to frantically call on a guest preacher like Andrew and I would have to do. You can just say, hey, something came up. We're going to have to do the stream because main campus is preaching.
I imagine they have a giant red button that just says Willie on it. The senior pastor's name is Willie Rice, by the way. He's a wonderful guy, but it's just like a flashing red Willie button that, if something happens, you hit it and the screen drops down. I assume, I haven't been there on a Sunday, but I'm assuming they have a magical button.
That has to be what happened. Jerry says, when Andrew got up today, did he imagine this? It's been an onslaught against Andrew and his refusal to train volunteers on new programs.
I hate you so much.
Adam says, my best volunteer is our Ableton computer. So we have been using Ableton a little bit at Lakeview. It's been crazy. MIDI cues will change your life. The robot never complains and never takes vacations or days off. So, Adam, I wasn't going to go that far, but we did make the switch over to Ableton and MIDI cues a couple of months ago at Lakeview. So our volunteer chills to the computer. So if there is a tech issue, they can step in, but they just sit there and they watch the slides change automatically on the last word of the slide. It's always on time. No one's turning around looking at the sound person or the computer person anymore. It's a magical thing. Adam says anyone can make a wiki page. Adam, thanks for that. Adam has offered to make our Wikipedia page in his free time.
I can't wait.
This is going to be great. Thanks for that.
It's going to be wonderful.
I'm just so thrilled.
Tim, what do you do? What do you do for your slides? Do you just have scripture? Do you have other things that go on the screen when you're preaching? And
Yeah,
then
so
do you
I do them in
a
ProPresenter.
volunteer?
So for each series, I load that title graphic and the blank graphic into ProPresenter, and then every week I just kind of like you do with PowerPoint, I just do it in ProPresenter, so it's already done, and then I just change the looks on there so it shoots to the live stream in lower thirds, it shoots to the main screens on full screen. So I'll do the it's always the scripture, and if I have main points or key takeaways, it'll be on that too. So it takes. Because I can auto-upload the scripture with whatever background I choose, thanks to ProPresenter, I can upload the scripture in under 5 seconds. I just type in the scripture, boom, it auto-uploads. So that never, ever takes long. CJ says, how far out do you schedule your Sundays for your different ministries, including preaching? So we the preaching calendar is way out. So we want to know who's preaching what Sunday months and months in advance. That's not really a surprise. When it comes to our song selection, we try to stay a month ahead. It doesn't always work out, but right now we're a month ahead. The first week of every month, I do a worship call with my key worship team members, including our worship leader. And we go over the month. We look through all the songs for the next month, make sure there's no issues, no questions, because we develop tracks. One of our guys actually does custom tracks if the tracks are not on multi-tracks already. So we have to stay several weeks ahead to make sure we're all planned out. Does that make sense?
We have preaching calendar figured out. Because it's a lot easier when there's one primary preacher.
Yeah.
So I know which weeks between now and the end of the year I'm not here, and I know who is filling in for me all but one of those weeks at this point.
Yep.
But for my topics, I'm currently, I could give you one sentence summary between now and the end of June, and then the series idea in July actually just changed because I have a guest preacher coming in who was doing something in Philippians. And so I'm like, well, I'm not going to do a Philippians series if we have a guest preacher in Philippians. So I'm kind of making a pivot on that. So that'll probably be our October series now instead. But I have a whole series figured out, at least like a one sentence or one paragraph summary of what each week is going to be by the beginning of that series, and have the series themselves figured out about a semester in advance. I think Tim and I talk about this a lot. You spend enough time in youth ministry and your brain just functions in semesters. And so we have 3 semesters a year. You have fall, spring, and summer. And winter is, when it comes to Christmas, we're going to talk about Christmas. When it comes to Easter, we're going to talk about Easter. But other than that, I think in terms of what time of year it is, and we go semester by semester.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Riley says, halfway through the message, I leaned over to my wife and said, I chose a good one to stream. That's a good feeling, knowing you made the right call. Steph says, if I wanted to watch a pastor on a screen, I would do so from my living room, to be honest. I mean, I have a great screen in my house, several great screens. But the screen at Calvary Eastlake is pretty special. It's a big one. I mean, Riley, do you play video games in there? Can we hook up the Switch? I mean, I'd watch movies in there. I mean, that screen looks fantastic.
Ministry Frat Madden tournament, just saying.
I would not be opposed to that.
And if you could get a live band to show up in your living room, that'd be great.
Adam says, have you upgraded to ProPresenter 7? We upgraded ProPresenter 7 right when it came out. Yes, we've had a few hiccups here and there. It just is what it is. But thankfully...
Do you know what never hiccups?
That's not true. Everything
hiccups.
PowerPoint
2014.
Everything hiccups. Thankfully, our hiccups have not happened on a Sunday all that often. It's very rarely to have a Sunday hiccup. Every now and then, though, it happens.
So
Steve,
Timmy,
where has Steve been? Way too long since I've joined you live. Steve, we've missed you. We're so glad that you're able to make it. Happy summer, buddy.
Timmy, I want to go back to your slide. So do you have a volunteer that has your notes and, hey, when you get to this verse, hit the space bar? Or what is bringing up your slides? Do you have your iPad linked to anything?
My preaching slides?
Yeah.
No. I have a volunteer in the back who just clicks through my slides. I
I have a clicker.
see.
I love it.
I've done the clicker thing before. I prefer not to even think about it. I have the confidence monitors in the back, so I know that they're changing the slides. And if it's tricky, like usually if it's over 20 slides, I'll just say, "Hey, here's what we got going on," and I'll walk them through it to make sure they're comfortable. But usually our volunteers can follow along. I've also done the thing where I'll print out the manuscript for them if it's tricky, and I'll highlight what needs to be on the slide next, so that way they can literally follow the sermon manuscript and then click on the appropriate slide if need be.
I used to at my previous church. I would do that. It was every Sunday. Here's the full manuscript, and which including when the blank slide goes. Because if I did not tell them, the verse would stay up there 10 minutes after, and so I was like, you know what, the clicker life is a pretty easy life. I'm very good with it.
Oh, Adam says the update to ProPresenter 7, not the upgrade. So I guess there was a recent update. Adam, I don't know.
Ooh.
I'll have to go and look. Every now and then they'll do like a micro update to one of their versions that will cause all sorts of bugs, which, Andrew, you might like this because I don't know that PowerPoint ever sends you updates, ever.
Do you remember when I said that our license expired in 2014? It's
Adam says, I schedule the songs 4 weeks ahead at a time. So 4 weeks is kind of our magical number when it comes to getting songs in as well. CJ says, I hate watching myself. It would be hard to do that in the room with others. Oh, I would. Yeah, no, I can't. That is beyond uncomfortable. Could not.
Yeah, I don't actually like the sound of my voice for someone who puts out hours and
hours.
Oh,
Riley, this is fantastic.
My voice on the internet.
He recently watched Top Gun Maverick on the big screen. We watched that with the kids for the first time Sunday night. Some of them survived the whole movie, some did not. All of them came down for the final 25 minutes, which, if you've seen Top Gun Maverick, you know what I'm talking about.
I have.
It's a near perfect film. We did Top Gun Maverick on Sunday night. Last night we did Titanic. The kids had never seen Titanic, so we watched Titanic for the very first time.
Sunday night, because yesterday was Sunday.
Oh, Saturday night was Top Gun Maverick. Sunday night was Titanic. So I told the kids, I am playing a movie every night all summer long. If you want to watch it, fine. If not, that's okay too. We started Titanic.
Tonight?
We started Titanic at 10 p.m. last night. That was a little bit late to start Titanic.
That's the real reason you're not here this morning, Tim.
So the kids were in bed. The kids were in bed at 1:30, and summer's here, buddy. And as you know, there's two inappropriate scenes in Titanic. So Stephanie had the blanket over the screen.
I'm familiar.
The blanket was over the screen for both of those scenes. At what point my oldest daughter was, let me see what's going on behind that blanket.
You were narrating for them. Tim, we had a birthday party yesterday at a trampoline park for Lewis, our youngest. And one of the dads that was there was telling me like how productive he's been this week because his wife and daughter were out of town, so it was just the boys at home. And he was like, yeah, it's been great because he goes to bed every night at like 8 o'clock. And it was like a full on like that was the face I made, like a full on record scratch moment. Like, wait, what?
8 p.m.
You get your kid to go to bed at 8 o'clock? It's still very, very light outside. He's like,
my kids are still in the pool. Some are still riding bikes and scooters around the neighborhood at that time.
I was shocked, and he's like,
we lift.
Always gone to bed early, and I'm not going to stop him.
We've never done that. We do lift bedtime every summer. My son has changed rooms for the summer. His room is the loft now. He prefers the giant couch in the loft as opposed to his bed for the summer. So we're going to bed in between 12:30 and 2 right now. I guess that's just the new summer schedule.
We're not quite that late, but
I don't know why. It's just been. I doubt we'll get a lot of fans for tonight's movie. I'm thinking Godzilla -1 for tonight's film. I've just heard such great things. I'm ready to watch it.
I would not be signing up to watch that one if it were me. Call me crazy. Zero appeal to me.
Have you read the reviews? Like that one actually did get a perfect rating. So I'm a big fan of good movies. So we'll see.
Does zero to interest me. But Tim, I don't know if you're aware of this. You know, Lost is coming back to Netflix here in a couple of weeks. So I am planning on making my 14-year-old spend at least an hour a day with me for 126 days to watch every single episode. So
Wow.
that's the extent of my summer planning at this point.
CJ says, where are you watching that at? Godzilla Minus One is now on Netflix, so I'll be watching that on Netflix tonight, if that's what you're asking. And then we need to get all caught up. I've seen the Apes films many times. My kids are wanting to watch them all before we go see the newer one, which probably won't even be in theaters much longer. But we need to get all caught up on the Apes films. So probably the rest of this week after tonight will be spent watching all of the Apes films every night.
Timmy, we have 3 things in our notes that we still have to hit on. This is important. My wife and I have been laughing about this, and I said it to you, and I'm not realizing that you and Steph have the same joke. I grew up at a church where the church sign had the pastor's name on the bottom of the sign.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
Had to
Berea Baptist Church, and then, Dr. Richard Prochnow, pastor.
Yep.
And we have whenever we drive past one of those signs, Melissa's like, hey, should we put your name on the sign? And it's always, kind of a silly thing. You guys just got a new sign, which is beautiful, by the way, at Lakeview Land.
It's a great sign.
Drive past if you haven't driven past just to look at it.
It's beautiful.
Your name is not on the sign, Tim.
It is not. It is not, nor will my name ever be on a sign, nor will my picture and my wife and family's picture ever be on a billboard. Like, those are just things that will never, ever happen in Lakeview Land.
The picture on the billboard or the name on the sign?
They're both equally as bad, but the name on the sign is a bit more permanent because billboards are changed out.
I would say
church signs, I speak from experience. Those are really expensive. Really expensive.
Timmy, in Safety Harbor, and our sign is not, your sign is giant. It's on the side of a major road, so that your sign is designed so that people can see it when they are driving past.
49,000 cars a day see our sign.
Our sign mimics the shape of the City of Safety Harbor signs, and it is designed to be seen when people are walking their dogs past. Our church is very, tucked down on a street. We're very much a neighborhood church, but because the City of Safety Harbor is the City of Safety Harbor, they are sign Nazis. For us to change our sign, we can do whatever we want while the sign is up. If we pull the sign out just to replace something on it, we have to get a new permit to put it back in the ground, which could take 6 months. The place across the street from us was a pizza place, and now it's a florist, and they had to leave the pizza place sign up for months after the flower shop opened and it was, the pizza place had closed like in 2022, and the sign just recently got replaced because of all of the craziness that is Safety Harbor. So with our sign, we kind of have to piecemeal one change at a time. We'll change the logo and then change the color, but we can't just do a wholesale change on it. And so when we're kind of planning the stages, and we're about to paint the outside of the building, and so as we're doing all of this, the discussion has been what goes on the sign, and the joke that Melissa and I kind of have as well: do we put my name on it? And of course, the answer is no, absolutely not.
It would look so pretty now that you're a doctor, Dr. Andrew J. Larson, pastor.
Tim,
I like the middle initial too. It's very, very prestige.
J is it's the most common first initial for a man in the English language, but it's very prestigious. We had someone who was volunteering around the church to some beautification projects, and she asked one of our elders, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And it was like a vinyl thing to put on doors to know what door is what. Hey, here's the office or whatever. But one of the logos, which was a vinyl door decal to go on the glass door, had Reverend Dr. Andrew Larson, pastor, and the elder was Andrew, I'm assuming you want me to put a kibosh on this. And I was like, I do not want my name on any building ever. If my name is on a building, I better be dead.
The Dr. Andrew James Larson Fellowship Hall, I'm okay with that. That's going to be a good one at Safety Harbor.
Listen, if I die in the pulpit, then they can put my name on a building. I do not want I think that's what it takes for my name to be on a building and never on a sign. But
never.
Like,
Never.
but your name is on the website. You go to the church website, and there's
It
a
should
whole lot
be.
of Timmy.
It should be.
Your name, your face is all over the church Instagram account.
It should be. People should know who the pastor is, who's going to be the primary communicator. I'm okay with that.
Then why is the sign any different?
I don't know. I think it's a level of ick that hits both of us. I think the ick factor is strong because of our upbringing. I don't know. I don't know that it's necessarily evil, but I think it was a thing.
In the 80s because there wasn't a website and there wasn't a church social media to find out who the pastor was, so you have to have his name on the sign.
That is strong.
I don't know what it is, because the pastor the church I grew up in,
the Reverend Dr. Andrew J. Larson Person's Room. That's a good one, Laura.
So
Love
church,
love that.
We have a bathroom it's just a one-seater. It's off of our church kitchen, and for some reason, the Methodist church that owned this building before us, they wanted people to know it was a bathroom, but they didn't want it to say men's room or women's room, and this is back in the 80s. And
Person's room.
There's a sign that just says person's room, and we will never take the little name placard down because it's hilarious.
That's so funny.
I think, Laura, if there's ever to be a room named after me, I would love it to be the person's room. But I'm wondering if... But when you would drive by and see the sign with the pastor's name on it, you don't know who that person is. I just don't get it. My church also had a Yellow Pages ad that was like, the church logo.
Yellow Pages, yeah.
I think they used to, like, you would go to a church conference and here are 10 logos. Choose which one you want. I always see this when I am in Arkansas, because every town has a First Baptist church, and every First Baptist church logo is exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm wondering.
Typically, if there's a lighthouse involved, even better.
No, not the
lighthouse.
New one. The new one is
cross.
fairly modern looking. Also, the other one that is ubiquitous, like the same church logo in every town. In rural Arkansas, they have a Cumberland Presbyterian denomination.
Okay.
And it's like a specific type of Presbyterian churches, and they all have the same logo as well. But so our church had in the Yellow Pages, here's the church logo, pastor's name. And again, unless you went to college with that pastor, how does having his name on the sign or on the Yellow Pages,
I don't know what it does,
make a difference?
You can't just click on it. Like on the website, you have a picture, you have a bio, you have a profile. Social media, you can literally see him or listen to a clip of the sermon. I don't get it. However, Andrew, when you said Yellow Pages, I was immediately thrown back to my childhood and teenage years, where I too would stay up past my bedtime. Sometimes my parents didn't know this. I would stay up past my bedtime to watch.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I wanted to watch TBN because late at night on TBN, the Power Team would come on, and I could watch the Power Team
Yellow Pages in half.
Rip phone books. I just thought, at what point in my Christianity do I get to that? When do I get to love Jesus enough to rip phone books in half? There was nothing cooler to me as a kid. That was the coolest.
How sanctified must I be?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For anabolic steroids are a part of my testimony.
If I cannot rip a phone book in half, I need to confess, because there must be some unrepented sin in my life. See, Steve says, what I'm hearing is we need to start collecting donations and start a Safety Harbor petition to put Andrew's name on a sign. Guys, if we can get Andrew's name on a sign, I'll put up just a little, instead of a for sale lawn graphic, I'll just stick that in the ground right in front of the church sign one Monday and take a picture and see what happens.
Let's not do that, Tim. I had a dream.
No way, Steve.
This morning.
He says the guy that ran the Power Team lives here in Colorado, and I met him the other day. Those guys.
Did you ask him to sign your phone book?
Right before he ripped it. And then did you put a giant block of ice on your chest and allow him to smash that block?
That would hurt. I am not into that.
That was so
Timmy,
cool.
here's the dream that I had.
I'm listening.
You were signing a new contract to be the head coach of the Buccaneers, and I thought you looked very silly, not in your Jaguars gear. You were in your Buccaneers polo shirt, and you had Jason Light, the GM, and you had Mr. Glazer, the owner. I think Todd Bowles was in the picture too. So I don't know if he was stepping down to become the new defensive coordinator because he just wanted you to be the head coach. And so it was your introductory press conference as the Buccaneers head coach. And then they were interviewing me.
Wow.
I think I was like Rob Gronkowski. I was the aging tight end about to retire. And I was like, I'm so excited to have my friend be the coach because I know that, he cares more about my ability to be a husband and a father once I'm done playing. So he's going to put me in situations to succeed, but also to stay healthy. And I woke up thinking that is such a weird dream because Tim wouldn't work for the Buccaneers.
I wouldn't do it. I would decline it immediately. I will only work for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know that.
But it was so weird because it was,
wow.
First of all, in this dream, Timmy, I'm 5 years older than you. So I'm like, I'm about to retire. There's no tight ends at 41 years old still playing. I am well beyond retirement age in the NFL. So it was, none of it made sense. Plus,
Andrew, do you think you had
at 5'6", 220? I don't think I am the build to be an NFL tight end.
I'm wondering if maybe you saw the Insta story from Lakeview of our new men's softball league that has been recently formed, and you immediately started thinking of Tim playing sports, and you had a sports dream. So
it was Tim as the athlete.
Tell me about church sports. Are they still a thing? Apparently they are. When we announced that we were going to have a men's softball league, we had to immediately shut down signups because we filled up too fast. We had to roster 2 teams.
I love that.
So now when we go scrimmage, we're literally scrimmaging against the 2 different teams of Lakeview. And get this, in 3 weeks, we have to play each other in the league that we're in. Lakeview versus Lakeview.
Are you going to invite the whole church to come on out and cheer?
Absolutely. We're going to announce it this Sunday. It was too funny last night. We were just having – I got home and I told Steph, I was like, I've never had men's fellowship like this. I go to men's breakfast. I go to men's prayer studies. I do all those things. But outside of the church playing sports, is that other than manly outdoorsy things, sports has to be
that has to be there.
Right?
It's either that or watching Star Wars.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm loving it. I'm a little bit sore today. I've had a few people make fun of my softball swing, but hey, you know what? I got on base every time, and that's really all that I care about. My swing is not immaculate.
They can't get you out. Tim, are you afraid that there's going to be tension between we're on the pastor's team, you're on the elders team, we're better than you kind of thing?
Oh, it's already there. It's there. The tension is real. We're mocking each other. We're having way too much fun with it.
Is there a first service team and a second service team? How did you split up the 2 Lakeview teams?
The 2 different coaches, they basically had a draft and they chose which players they wanted back and forth, and that's kind of how they formed the teams. Okay. And they're 2 colors. We got new hats. We have new hats. We have new jerseys. They are very, very cool.
You should have gotten the Sunday cool hats that you guys have.
I know.
And you should have used the softball team as a way to just get updated church merch in general.
Well,
so that
it's coming now. Now that I'm seeing all of these different things, I'm like, this is definitely going to happen. It's
a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. I'm on team. So we have team white and we have team green. So there were a few partially racist jokes because there's things you can say, like green power, but you can't say that for your white team.
You can't say white power. Yeah, that's
you can't say things like that. So
you can say green supremacy. You can't say
the other.
Yeah.
And those are both, and it's funny because I used both those jokes last night. I just feel like the green team, they have a little bit more leeway than we do. We can't say certain things, but the green team can absolutely say all of the things. I'm on team white.
Yeah. Makes sense. So
I'm not saying we have any specific privilege over the green, but
Or it's sports team, the Celtics are in the NBA Finals. Talk about Celtics Nation. You can talk about green team nationalism. You can't talk about the white team in that way. There's just certain jokes that can't be made for the white team, and I'm sorry that you've got to be part of the whites, Tim. Plus,
CJ says
your jerseys get way dirtier that way.
Way dirtier. Wonder how Vody would feel about 2 softball teams from one church going head-to-head in a battle royal. It's coming in 3 weeks. You 2 can be a part of this.
Mark never
Jack
says
Mitchell Park.
You're not actually functioning as a church if you have 2 different teams. You all need to be in there together for it to count as a church. So, similar to the live stream or the multiple service debate.
Yep.
I get it. I understand all of it.
However, I
you
know
were
what
drafted in the order.
I don't know where I was drafted. I guarantee you it was not in the top 15 out of the 26 players, 30 players. There's no way.
Do you think there's like, no, you take the pass, or we want to actually have fun on this team?
There was probably a little bit of that. However, once they saw my base running abilities, now I'm like the go-to pinch runner for all the guys who can no longer run all that well. So
is it like that Babe Ruth movie where he would step on first and then the skinny guy would run the rest of the bases for him? Back when they had the
similar,
pinch runner rule.
It's similar to that. Riley says, what league? We have a team that plays in the fall at Mitchell. So, Riley, we will be doing the fall church league at Mitchell. They didn't offer a church league in the summer, so we're actually on a non-church league for the summer. So it's a witnessing opportunity.
It's called a beer league.
We don't call it that. It's a fun league.
The other teams in the league sure do.
Oh, I've seen their team names. They absolutely call it that. So this will be really fun to bring your family to one time, and then you probably won't want to bring your family back because it is a non-church
Bring
league.
your family to the Lakeview versus Lakeview game.
Yes, that one will be fine. Earl says church league brawls are the best. They're so funny. They are so funny.
Because they're still hitting each other. They're just not
Oh, Riley says maybe there's not. We're playing that fall league. It must be the beer league, Riley. So that's the same one we're doing at Mitchell.
I can't wait for the Tim versus Riley game.
Riley, are you on the team? Does Riley play? I've never seen any footage of this.
That's because you can exist without putting your whole life on social media, Tim.
What?
Riley?
Since when?
Riley is a very competitive softball player. It's like he loves slow pitch.
I had no idea. I've never seen a photo or a video of this in my life. Riley, I've known you a long time. If it has been posted, that's on me that I haven't seen it. I just haven't seen it.
Riley, if you can text a picture to Tim right now, he can put it on the screen in our final segment here because it's 12:09.
I would absolutely do that. Andrew, would you be open to playing in any church sports leagues if Safety Harbor were to get into one?
I think slow pitch softball would be about the height of my athleticism at this point, but I don't.
Riley,
know
I knew you were a collegiate athlete. I just didn't know you were still pursuing athletics.
I have a picture of Riley Lester in his college soccer uniform on my wall that I'm looking at right now.
I see it every week when I'm in your office, Andrew. I know. I'm very proud of him for that.
Tim, I want to talk about one last thing that I think is a little bit silly.
I'm listening.
And I need your help. I need your guidance. Again, we haven't talked because we were on trips and we didn't record a show last week. So in the past few weeks and months, since I have finished this degree from Liberty, but I think more so since the pictures of me in my silly robe have been put out on the internet.
They're out there.
Our worship leader every Sunday morning will, at the end of the sermon before the closing song, will say something to the extent of, "Thank you, Dr. Larson," usually to be greeted by chuckles from the church because, look at me.
I would do that every week.
I am a buffoon. No one should take me seriously as much of anything. But Tim, we have newer people in the church that now think that they're supposed to call me that. I had one lady call me Dr. Andrew yesterday, and do I correct them? Just Andrew is fine. What is the protocol,
Andrew?
here?
If you're already acquiescing to your people and not training them on new programs, you're just going to have to let them call you whatever they want to call you. If they want to call you the Reverend Doctor, or is it Dr. Reverend? It's Reverend Doctor.
Reverend comes first, but that's typically only when it's in writing. But
if they want to call you Dr. Andrew, I mean, you worked so hard on that piece of paper.
But it's such a. Do you like it when people call you when someone calls you Pastor
No, it's awkward.
Tim? Do you ever it's just Tim, right?
It's Tim. It's Tim. Yes.
I would
100%.
much rather just be called, "Hey, you."
Yep. I'm not a big fan of titles before my name ever. Never have been. There are some like out of respect, the parents will tell their children, "Hey, this is Pastor Tim." I'm okay with that. I get the respect factor of instead of saying Mr. Miller, Pastor Tim, that's fine. But when another adult calls me Pastor Tim, I'm like, Tim's Tim's fine.
Would
Steve says again, this is why you need your name on the sign. That's true. Now, everyone, if you just put Andrew out there and nothing else, just say Andrew, pastor. They'll all know exactly what to call you.
Andrew, pastor, not
That's
Pastor Andrew, but
nope.
It's funny.
Andrew,
like
pastor.
In my like the MailChimp emails that I send out to everybody, I think in those it's Pastor Andrew, because But would you rather be Pastor or would you rather be Pastor Tim or Mr. Miller when you're talking with a kid?
Pastor Tim. That seems more informal to me. Mr. Miller, just like, hey, Pastor Tim, like that one I'm totally good with. It's just I don't like when other adults. I don't typically correct people because I get that depending on your upbringing, like that's just what you did. So I understand that too. Like when Pastor Joe, like, when I had a pastor at my old Baptist church, we called him Pastor first name. So that was just kind of what we did. So I get that.
Or would you rather be Pastor, first name, or just addressed as Pastor? That's the other one that's always really funny to me. I'm like,
I have had the, hey, Pastor. I'm like, did you forget my name, or did you just like calling me Pastor?
Hello, engineer. Nice to meet you, lawyer.
Like, I mean, I call like, hey, doc. Like, if I'm a doctor, I'll just say, hey, doc. I'll do that. So I get that. But you're right. In other professions, that typically doesn't fly. It's weird.
It's so odd. It's so weird. But this is the life we've chosen, and it sure beats having a regular job. That's for sure.
Oh, any day of the week.
That is for sure. I don't know that I would do well as a civilian. This is definitely the life that I belong in.
Andrew, it's well afternoon. I'm starving. You haven't eaten much today. We've got work to do.
I've only eaten 3 times today. I am starving.
Yes, it's time to eat. You need to get work done. We will.
Hey, maybe we'll be
here
live and in person next week. We don't know.
Should be.
We don't know. I hope so.
There's nothing else going on. Not for a couple of weeks. I've got a couple of weeks until camp. So until camp, I should be good to go.
Timmy, I was looking at pictures on Facebook this morning, and it was of something going on at Athens restaurant, and I'm wondering, like, are they mad at us? Do they think that we're mad at them? Because we haven't been there in so many weeks. I wonder if they get concerned when they don't see us on Mondays. But sometimes this camera thing sure does make life easier.
But hey, the offer still stands. If you're in town and we're shooting a show and you want to have lunch with us, Andrew will buy it. That is the running offer each and every Monday. If we're in person and if we're going to lunch on that day, and if you show up at the exact time we are at the restaurant, Andrew Larson will buy your lunch. Is that not true, Andrew?
I thought it was that you were going to put it on the Lakeview card.
Okay, that's what I'll do. Deal.
Bye, everybody. We'll see
folks.
you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
See you then.